Welcome, Billy Howle. Thank you so much for taking time out to talk to us today.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Oh, good. I had to speak to you a couple of things. One, I've seen Kids Now, and it's fantastic, by the way. Congratulations on that. We're going to dive into that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the star of the show. 10 years unbeaten. My brother. Kid Snow!
The other reason is you're a local lad, because I'm from the Midlands, Birmingham, and you're from Stoke-on-Trent. So come on, we've got to big up and keep it real. If I
Yeah.
can and if I may, firstly, before we get there, I'm really interested on your trajectory. I do see it, and I've seen you in some amazing stuff already. But how did you start off in acting? How did you get to? Was it something you always wanted to do? Did you start off and go, actually, I want to become an actor and start that? What was your focus when you left school or
Yeah. I mean, it depends how far back you want to go, really. But I think as a kid, it was pretty apparent that
yeah.
I was interested in stories anyway, but
Okay.
and also sort of performance. But interestingly, it was my older brother who used to go to acting classes, and
All
I was
right.
a bit jealous. And
Yeah.
I was like quite curious about what acting classes were.
Yeah.
So when he was still in the acting class, and I'd finished a dance class, I used to go to the window of the door where they were doing the class, and I would like this was in Swindon because we lived in
Right, okay.
Oxford,
Yeah.
and I used to like peer in through the window, and I could see these, you know, young people like shouting at each other. I was like, "What
Yeah.
is that? Why are they doing that?" And then they'd suddenly stop shouting at each other, and I
Yeah.
thought, "Oh, they weren't actually shouting at each other. What is that?" And so yeah, I don't know. I was like curious, and then I sort of took to it,
Yeah.
and I used to do these like long form improvisations at Christmas and force my family to watch them. Um, and they just went on for like 3 hours or
Love it.
something.
I could see it. Right. Okay. So that makes sense because I see you've done a lot of theatre work where you were treading the boards a lot and stuff. Was that something you just automatically thought that's kind of where I'm heading towards? That's what I was doing. The opportunity arose. I mean, obviously your theatre work's fantastic, and you're still doing it now, which is great and stuff. And I love to see that. I do think it's where you hone your skills, I guess, to a certain extent. Was that the kind of the plan, or did you just fall into the theatre?
Well, I mean, I got my first theatre gig when I was about nine, I think,
Oh,
8 or
okay.
9,
Yeah.
playing Bob in the Dog in Cinderella in a pantomime.
Yeah.
And so I was already doing it. And so that's my kind of earliest uh,
Mm.
experience of
Yeah.
working on the stage. And that was formative for sure. I mean,
Mm.
it definitely had an effect on sort of what I was thinking about doing. But then as I was older, it wasn't obvious what I was going to do. I
Yeah.
was a bit of an outsider. I was a bit not sure about what was next. And then somebody sort of twisted my arm and said I should audition for drama school. So I did.
Yeah.
And then I went to a different drama school first, but actually did my degree at Bristol Old Vic, which
Right. Yeah.
actually recently has closed its undergrad program because of funding, which is a
It's a shame.
real problem. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
But yeah, I did. So I thought because I was going to get a kind of classical training in acting, I thought I was just going to go on and do theatre.
Yeah.
But actually, when I left, um, the phone started ringing pretty much straight away, and it was lots of TV.
Nice.
Uh, I
Yeah.
did a bit of theatre interspersed in there, but um, that was my bread and butter really for quite a long time doing
Yeah. Yeah.
television stuff.
It's fantastic. So let's come on to Kids Now. But like I say, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie, and interestingly, the character as well. And I just want to explore that. Was it something, or it's something that you're drawn to from when you read something and go, actually, this is a character I'd really love to play? Are you drawn to the story? What brings you in and motivates you? Because, like I say, it is a loud character, and I can see it from the other performance you've done in other things and stuff. It has got that, layers that you like to kind of strip away to a certain extent as you as an actor. Is that something
Yeah.
that, draws your attention, that you get enthusiastic by?
Well, I'm always interested by this because when I can only use my eyes and my
Yeah.
brain to read the script.
Yeah.
So it's unavoidable that I'm going to have a sort of an immediate impression, or the
Mm,
script would have an immediate impression on me.
yeah.
And sometimes on certain projects, I actually then have to do quite a lot of hard work because whatever I've thought of the thing that isn't aligned with what the intention is in making
Yeah,
the thing,
yeah, which
which is always interesting. But then when you have a director like Paul Goldman and the rest of the creative team who, but mainly Paul, through conversations with him, we
yeah,
built a rapport and a sense of trust with each other that was definitely reciprocated, I think. And from that place of trust, and through those conversations, really, it's a lot of the kind of preparatory work that is quite cerebral, actually,
mm,
for me for quite a long time.
yeah,
Um, and in this case, physical as well, but at the time, the kind of two separate
yeah,
entities. And
yeah.
then it's about unifying them and building this whole person.
How's that, Sonny? Dances like a wolf. Show's packed every night. I hear she's pretty good at skipping too, eh?
He hasn't got it in him anymore. If we have to call it off, I will burn your tents to the ground right in front of you.
You're screwing it all up. You have to get your head in the game.
You keep away from my brother.
Is that what you want? I gave everything up for you because you're family.
You can't leave, man.
There's always more than one way to win a fight.
Let's get on to the action. And one of the good things is because of action and boxing drama, and you might have noticed I am a bit of a connoisseur of the action, which I
Yeah,
love that. Physically demanding role for you, this one.
yeah,
Um, I'll make a massive leap and assumption you did some boxing training as well, and you put the
yeah.
gloves on for this because it looked like you had to. But physically demanding, was that, something that obviously you took in your stride, but again, some boxing as well. What did that take the form of?
Yeah, so I had the first conversation with Paul.
Yeah,
He said, "You need to find a boxing trainer, we'll find you one." I found this guy called Rob Lynch, who trains professional fighters in London.
yeah.
And he and I worked together for about 6 months, I think.
Okay. Wow.
I
Nice.
had quite a long time, and I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
I was going to see Rob most days a week. Sometimes I'd have like one day off, sometimes two.
yeah.
So that was great.
Mm.
And the stuff with Rob, what the difficulty was that they were all in Australia. So there was a sort of
Yeah.
communication issue there.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
Rob was only getting fed certain bits of information. But it was interesting. We started to build a language, a physical language for this character.
yeah.
What is his style of boxing,
Mm.
because it is a
Nice.
very individual thing.
Yeah.
And so we'd started to do that. That finished, we went to Perth. I then had another boxing trainer. And it's interesting in the boxing world, and this is kind of true for lots of sport, is
Mm. Of
there's another approach if you go to another place,
course.
right?
It is. Yeah, yeah. Something different. Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're kind of unpicking in a way, like some other stuff I've done. And we
Yeah.
were talking a lot about, anachronistic stuff, because actually tent boxing in the outback in the 1970s, a very specific
Yeah.
style of boxing, if you
Of
like.
course. Yeah.
So we were then looking at that and sort of honing the stuff that I'd already done. So I was like peak physical fitness
Mm.
then.
Yeah.
I'd never been fitter, I don't think. And
Yeah.
then Paul, I had a conversation with him and he said, "Look, we can't do the boxing stuff until the end of the shoot." So I said, "Okay." So I've got to stay fit for 2 months. And he was like, "Well, not really, because at the beginning of the film, you're like washed up.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're drinking too much.
Yeah.
And I think you're a chain smoker."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Okay."
Great. Thanks.
Because of where we were and like the
Yeah.
availability of like cigarettes.
Yeah.
And I used to be a smoker. So I was like, "You don't need to ask me twice."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Started smoking, and then every time you see me roll a fag in the film, it's a cigarette. And
Yeah.
he said, "Yeah, but no filters in the 1970s. So you can't have filters." I was like, "Okay, thanks, Paul."
Yeah.
So it was like, smoking upwards of 20 roll-ups a day on this film for about 2 months.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we're in the outback, so there's a lot of whiskey around and,
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot
Nice.
of socializing. And so, yeah, that happened. And then it got to the 2 days where we were doing all of the fight sequences in the film. And we were on our feet for like 10 hours or something,
Wow.
doing the same bits of choreography.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
over and over again, and it was full on. Yeah, I mean, it was like I was very surprised that my stamina it obviously held up.
Yeah,
I was still training while I was drinking and
yeah, of
smoking,
course. But
but
yeah,
like,
it is. You can tell you were fit for the part because you looked like you were as well. So I knew you must have had some, and obviously it is physically draining because let's face it, you're doing boxing. Therefore, it isn't like oh we're going to quick do a take and stuff. It's going to take time, and then you're in Australia and the heat and everything else and stuff. So I could see the demands are there, but it comes across really well, and it is more it's story driven. And I think Phoebe Tonkin as well plays it really well with you. You've got that chemistry going on, which I really liked. And that's the core of the story that you can't regret loss and all that kind of good stuff. And the boxing comes after, which always makes a good boxing movie because
mm,
it's not an afterthought, it's part of it, but it's not really the crux of what you're doing. It's more about discovery of the character and everything else, which I really love.
yeah,
And I love the way your characters come together, which is fantastic. Working with Phoebe looked like it was easy for you both and stuff because like that chemistry was just like boom. You could see it
yeah,
on the screen. So, you know, I guess for you it's easy when you can just work with someone in it. I mean, I'm making a massive assumption. You could say no, she was rubbish. Well, you wouldn't, but you know what I mean. It looked
yeah,
like you got along well and the chemistry was there, which obviously adds to the whole
yeah,
film and stuff and
yeah.
helps you as characters, I guess, to flesh that out.
Absolutely. No, I think with everybody there was a real sense of cohesion and camaraderie,
Yeah.
and with Hunter and Mark Cole Smith and
Yes.
Shaka Cook, hanging around that fire. I mean, that's all just very real. We would just sit around
Nice.
that fire and cook damper, which was amazing. And with Phoebe, like I think I was acutely aware that in some senses the role for her it was very exposing
Mm.
and
Yeah, of course.
in a number of ways, and quite difficult,
Mm.
and I wasn't sure how well that would sit with her because having not known Phoebe before,
Yeah, of course.
but actually we worked through a lot of that stuff, together. And I mean, I don't know how she feels about the film now, but
Yeah.
I think at the time, there was a real sense of sort of care and attention amongst everybody.
Mm.
Um, and that, yeah, yeah. I don't know if that answers your question, but
No,
yeah,
it does, and I think I was just riffing on it. It was just something that come to mind more than the characters and the way it did feel like the film you were getting something out of because you came across well and everybody, like I say, everybody really, it just kind of worked. It worked really well. You never know when you're going to go into a movie, especially, it's got the boxing elements and got the action in, but whether you got the heart and the of the story and you have with that, and that's what I love about the film. I'm not going to keep you too much longer, but I have to do this to all our guests, so I'm going to ask you one final question, um, and we'll have drum roll maestro. Right. If you're stuck on a desert island and you can only
yeah.
take three films with you, and it can be any genre of film you want, what three films do you take? And to give you a
Nice.
moment just to think about it,
Yeah.
if I ever interview again, you can pick a different three films. So
Okay.
don't think it has to be, but I ask all my guests, so just
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, yeah. Cinema Paradiso.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Um, Stalker, Tarkovsky.
Mm, wow.
Um, City of Lost Children.
Ooh, interesting selection. Very good. I've had various different ones from various different people and just random different things just not expecting, but that was a very, very nice selection. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
No, great. Billy, it's been an absolute pleasure. I wish you every success with the film. I also wish you every success in the future as a
Thank
local lad, even more so. So go and get them. I want to see some kind of shiny gold statues in your hand at some point. That'd be
you.
fantastic. That'd be good. But yeah, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure, Billy. Yeah, take care and yeah,
Thanks so
see you
much.
soon.
See you.
Yeah,
Bye
we'll
bye.
do. Take care. Cheers.